loaded in, Walter, and everything else, and we're ready to go, one way or the other.
Sure.
So it'll be obvious. I just have to wait for a couple of people to join the call, and we'll be fine. You're going to want to have that phone not ring in the background. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to be on for the next 45 minutes to an hour. We want you to ask Walter questions. So if you have a question, please, by all means, press 00 on the keypad on your phone. What will happen is that once you press 0, we'll get you to one of our people. They'll get your question typed up, and we'll be asking you a little bit down the road to ask the question live. You don't have to stay around too long, though. We're going to go through questions as fast as we possibly can. So again, welcome everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We really appreciate you joining us. If you have a question, press 00 on the keypad on your phone. We're also collecting email addresses tonight. If you'd like to provide us your email address so we can keep you up to date between now and Election Day, press 77 so we can secure your email address and keep you up to date email-wise. So it's 0 for questions, 7 for email addresses. Walter, take it away.
Thanks, Kurt, and welcome to everyone who's participating in this town hall. My name is Walter Sendzik, and I am running for mayor at City of St. Catharines. And I want to explain to you why I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because I have 2 young kids, Elle and Willem, and I want to build a city that includes a future for them, our children, and our grandchildren. Too often today, our young people are leaving. They're leaving to pursue a job, a career in other communities. And we need to turn that around. So I've got a plan. I've got a 4-point plan. Point 1 of the plan is to grow our local economy by supporting businesses and expanding and removing the barriers to business in our community and creating an open-for-business environment. I want to make St. Catharines a leader again. Focus on putting St. Catharines back on the map as a leader in today's economy, attracting business, families, and young people. I don't want to put businesses and residents first. Maintain and enhance our city programs and services that better use our taxpayers' dollars. And I want to enhance our community life. I want to build strong neighborhoods by enhancing our recreational facilities, parks, walking and cycling paths. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. That's my vision to be the mayor of the city. And I want to just tell you a bit about my background. I was born and raised in the city. I live in the downtown area with my wife and 2 kids, and I'm the son of a prominent CAW Local 199 representative, Ted Sendzik. I've owned my own business, and I've been with the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce for the past 7 years, representing over 1,500 businesses in the community. And I'm also active in the community with Hospice Niagara, Hotel Dieu Rehabilitation Center, Rotary, Niagara College, and Pastone Children's Mental Health. So I believe in our community. I believe in where we're going, and I believe in our opportunities. And by working together, I believe we can build a community so that our children and grandchildren can have a bright future here. So I'm looking forward to the questions that you'll have tonight and joining me on this town hall. Thank you, Kurt.
Well, thank you, Walter. I want to remind people one more time, people just got on the call, if you do have a question of Walter, please press 00 on the keypad on your phone. We'd really appreciate as much participation of people asking questions as possible. But we had some questions that came in earlier today, and this one came in from Eric earlier, and the question goes like this: what steps should City Hall take to maintain our services?
That's a great question, and it really comes down to the value for taxes. Making sure that we have a government that's operating at an efficient level and maintaining the services that are important to our residents, and that's putting residents first. When you look at something as unique as the tree removal in front of your house and going door to door, I've talked to people who had a tree removed a year ago, and then a year later, there's still no tree in that front yard. We have to have a city that is responsive to the needs of those that are paying the taxes in our community, and that's by putting residents first. We need to ensure that our services are maintained and enhanced so that you get the value for your taxes that you pay. Thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome. We have a polling question that we wanted to ask as soon as we possibly could and get it in. Do you approve or disapprove of the way Peter Cicourt is handling his job as St. Catharines City Council? If you approve of it, press 1. If you disapprove, press 2. So what do you think about the job Peter's doing? If it's good, press 1. If it's not, press 2. We really appreciate your participation on that. Let's see. We're going to take a question, if we can, from the live audience that just came in. We're going to take our first one from Ruth. Ruth, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Ruth, go ahead with your question, if you would, please.
I'd like to know what you plan on doing for seniors if you're elected.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And that is, again, a great question. What we're seeing in our community is that the shrinking tax base is increasing a burden to all those in our community, including those who are on fixed incomes and those who are enjoying their retirement and help build our community. We need to ensure that our community is accessible for those who are finding challenges in getting around. We need to ensure that we have the facilities so that those who are looking to enjoy the physical activities in our community are able to do so. Enhancing our transit, intermunicipal transit, so that seniors can get around easily to their place of a home, to where they want to shop. We need to ensure that our senior centers have the kind of activities in them that attract people and bring communities together. And we need to make sure that our trails are accessible. Those are some of the things that we need to do to ensure our community is reflective of those who have lived in our community for a number of years and are now enjoying their retirement.
I want to remind people, if they did have a question of Walter, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us your email address, please press 7 on the keypad on your phone. The reason I keep repeating this is we're having more neighbors join the call as we keep going. The next thing we're going to do is do another survey question. The survey question goes like this. Suppose the mayor election were held today. Who would you vote for? If you'd vote for Walter, press 1. If it's someone else, press 2. And if you haven't made up your mind, press 3. Who would you vote for mayor if it was being held today? If it's Walter, press 1. If it's someone else, press 2. And if you haven't made up your mind, press 3. We really appreciate your participation. Next, we're going to take Ted. Ted, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Ted, please go ahead with your question.
What's the highest level of education that you have achieved?
Thank you very much for that question, Ted. So I'm a graduate of Wilfrid Laurier University, and I did my master's at McGill and specializing in Canadian history.
Thank you, sir. Let's take another question in just a minute. We'd like to take Sharon. Let's take Sharon if we can. Sharon, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Sharon, please go ahead with your question.
Oh, hello, Walter. I would like to have any politician who can save our door-to-door mail delivery. I think it's terrible that they're putting hardworking Canadians out of jobs all across Canada, and I'm sure that we can find the money elsewhere, and I really do think we need the mail delivery for all of us and for the people that do it. They work hard and they go out in all kinds of weather, so it really bugs me that they're going to lose their jobs.
Sharon, I thank you for that question. I can't agree with you more. And as going door to door, I've noticed more and more signs that are on people's lawns, and it's one of the first questions people are asking me is, what are we going to do about losing door-to-door mail? And when you look at our community, Sharon, you look at the number of people who are enjoying their retirement years and then putting in front of them the obstacle having to go down the road during the winter months to get their mail. We need to work with the federal government. We need to work with our local MP, Rick Dykstra, to ensure that the considerations of those in our community are being first and foremost, and that we keep mail at the door. Because you're right, Sharon, it does create jobs in our community. They're good-paying jobs, and also we rely on the delivery of mail to our doors, and that's something that we should keep in our community. So thank you for that question, Sharon.
Another survey question we have is, do you approve or disapprove of the way Jeff Birch is handling his job at St. Catharines City Council? If you approve, press 1. If you disapprove, press 2. How do you think Jeff's doing? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. We appreciate your participation. Again, if you have a question, press 00 on the keypad on your phone, just like Andre did. Andre, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Andre, go ahead with your question, if you would, please.
Is this for Andre Jodouin? Yes, I worked 42 years of my life, and I paid a lot of taxes, hoping that I could have some pleasure when I did retire. And I'm living in a low-income housing and paying $517 a month rent, and I'm not receiving enough pension to support my daily activities and even food. I have to go and get help in churches for food. I'm struggling to survive, and I would like to know if that can change.
Andre, thank you very much for that question, and that is a very serious issue that's facing many people in our community. When you look at the community services that we have to offer, when you look at the region and the services that they offer for those who have fixed incomes, they're living in a very constricted budget, it becomes more and more of a challenge. What I want to do is I want to work with the region, I want to work with regional council, I want to fight for more services. I want to fight for you working with regional council as a regional councilor to get those community services so that you can utilize those services so you have more disposable income at the end of the month. There's too many people in the community like you, Andre, that have worked hard your entire life, and with the increase in gas prices, with the increase in energy prices, with the increase in bread prices, with the increase in food and meat prices, your disposable income is getting smaller and smaller. And we have to do more to fight for you to keep more dollars in your pockets. That means making sure that we have affordable taxes. That means that we're going to be working at the regional level so that you have additional services so that you can actually enjoy your retirement. That's my commitment to you, Andre.
Thank you so much, sir. We want to do another survey question if we possibly could. The survey question goes like this. Compared to are you more enthusiastic about voting than usual or less enthusiastic? If you're more enthusiastic, press 1. If you're less, press 2. So how enthusiastic are you? 1 is you're more, 2 is less. Meanwhile, while that's going on, we're going to take Carol. Carol, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Carol, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, hi, thank you. Could you please tell me if you're going to try and balance the city budget?
Carol, thank you very much for that question. Balancing the budget is something that we should be focused on as a council. We have to get the value for the taxes that you pay. Balancing the budget every year should be our objective. That's something that as a council and as a city staff we should be focused on. We should look at how are we spending your dollars? What are the services that we are spending it on? Are we doing it in the most efficient way? And what are the partnerships that we are seeking with either other municipalities surrounding us or those in the private sector that can help lower the cost of the service delivery to you? The goal for every budget should not be to spend more money. It should be to spend less or balance the budget. That would be my focus moving forward.
Thank you, Walter. I want to remind people one last time, if they wanted to provide us their email address, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone. Next, we're going to take Sandra. Sandra, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Sandra, please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. I really believe that St. Catharines has quite a high number of great population, and that too many of them, like Andre, aren't aware of what assistance is available in our community and that to get that information out to them is something that our city council and our mayor can do much more effectively if they just put the effort into it. What would you do as mayor to educate the seniors of St. Catharines as to what is already available to them if they only had the knowledge?
And Sandra, I think you've hit on a good point. It's about communication, and we have to do a better job as a community in communicating with those throughout our neighborhoods, hosting meetings at senior centers, going to the seniors where they collect information. And I think, Sandra, you would agree that in our community, we have what I would call a fractured marketplace. We don't have very consistent media within our marketplace. So how are we reaching out to seniors? I think as a community, we've got to do a better job of not just reaching out to seniors, but also young people, and going and having conversations with them where they're comfortable in having those conversations. And that's what I think is important to build this community, is making sure that we're having effective conversations with all of those in our community and sharing the services and sharing our vision for where we want to go.
We have lots of people wanting to ask questions, so we're going to keep plugging on ahead. We do want to do this one survey question, though. If you'd like to volunteer, we can give you a call back and tell you how you can help out. If you would like to volunteer, just press 1 on the keypad on your phone now. We'll get back to you in the next few days. So if you'd like to volunteer, please press 1. Next, let's take Lucy. Lucy, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Lucy, go ahead with your question, if you would, please. Lucy. Let's see. Lucy's question is, what would you do about homeless and transients who are in downtown? Would you relocate them? That was her question, basically, Walter.
Okay, and again, that goes back to the community side of the equation, the community services. And we have to understand that. What are the issues that are creating that homelessness? Mental health. I'm involved in the Pastoral and Children's mental health. And mental health is a very serious issue in our community. And when you look at the plight of those who are homeless, they're not homeless because they choose to be. They're homeless because of issues that are affecting who they are and what's affecting them in terms of their health. So we got to make sure that we're working with our community partners, community care, the local hospital. We got to make sure that these people are getting the services and the care that gets them off the streets, that gets them into places that they can be looked after. So I think that's a very significant question, and that's a way that we can help provide additional care to those in our community that are the most vulnerable. Thank you for that question, Lucy.
And thank you, Walter. Let's take another question right away and keep, like I said, plugging away on these questions. Try and get them all in tonight if we can. Carol's next. Carol, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Carol, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, thank you, Walter. In your opinion, what are the 3 top issues that need to be dealt with in this city immediately following the election?
Carol, that's a great question, and I'm going to say, and from my opinion and the vision that I have, it's jobs, it's taxes, and it's value for services. And if I could just elaborate just a bit on that one, Carol. The doors that I'm going to, people are talking about the lack of jobs. We've got, according to a recent report that came out, 9.7% unemployment. We need more jobs, more diverse jobs in our community, so it keeps young people in our community, it keeps young families in our community, and it keeps people working. When you look at our taxes and the value that we're getting for our taxes, are we getting the value for the taxes that we're putting into the city? And when you look at our services, are you getting the kind of service that you want as a resident of our community? Those are the 3 most pressing issues that need to be addressed. And I will tell you, Carol, that when it comes to jobs and attracting business to the community, which is priority number 1, that is going to take a lot of hard work. That's going to take a council and a mayor with a firm understanding of the challenges facing business. And with my background in business, that'll be my job priority number one, is to get jobs and businesses back to this community.
Thank you, sir. Let's take another question right away. Lorna. Lorna, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Lorna, go ahead with your go ahead, Lorna, you're up.
My question is, why are most of the buses that are traveling around the north end either have 1, 2 people in them, absolutely empty, and they are huge, they cannot get around the corner in Port Dalhousie, and I'm wondering why we have such big buses with nobody in them.
Well, that's a great question, Lauren. And when you look at the transit system, and St. Catharines does have one of the most efficiently run transit systems in Ontario. It's a very well-operated transit system. They have such, and I'll answer the question on the size of buses, because I think there's two elements that we should be looking at. One is servicing what I would call the north part of the city with potentially smaller buses that connect those who are looking to go from the place of where they're living to a place where they're going to do their shopping and back. But then you got to look at from what would be the downtown area to Brock University. And there's 18,000 students that go to Brock University. So you look at the capacity on those buses, if you were to follow that bus up Lake Street and past Carleton, after Carleton Street, it starts to get filled up. And they're largely students and young people who are heading towards Brock University. So I think we have to look at our transit system. Our transit system is an effective system currently, and look at a way that we can provide a service in the north end that meets the needs of those who are looking to get from point A to point B in a very expedited way. Smaller buses, and then making sure that we understand that those buses do get filled up as they get closer to Brock.
Thank you, sir. Let's take another question. It'll be Heather. Heather, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Heather, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, I'm just wondering what your intentions are for Port Dalhousie. It seems that this port tower just sort of ruined everything. They closed down the businesses but did nothing. Are you looking to partnership with private enterprise, or what is your vision? Because right now it's a mess.
Heather, I couldn't agree with you more. And that hole that's in the ground in port is not something that any of us can be proud of or happy with. We've got the Pan Am Games coming in 2015, and Port's not in a position to showcase to the world what it could be. And as mayor, we have to go to the developer and we have to say, here's a fixed timeline. The fixed timeline means that something has to happen. We've got to work with the private sector to ensure development takes place in an expedited manner. We can't wait another 4 years for a project to sit idle. We have to be aggressive. We have to use all the tools that our city has at its disposal to ensure that the private sector either holds up to its end of the agreement on building something, or we will find another partner to build a project that is reflective of Port Dalhousie. I will say that that project's been on the books since 2006 when it was first debated, and that hole has been there for a number of years now. The current council hasn't been able to get that business to start to build. I will say that we will work aggressively to get something built in Port, and I know we can put Port back on the map as a jewel in the ports of Lake Ontario. Thank you, Heather.
Let's take another question if we can. It's from Joan. Joan, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Joan, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, my question is, something has to be done about the condition of sidewalks in St. Catharines during the winter months. Many people only shovel a path approximately 10 to 15 inches wide, and they do not clean it down to the bare pavement as per the bylaw. The other thing is, if you get a snowstorm that's, just for sake of argument, starts at, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they have 24 hours before they have to clean that sidewalk. So that would mean that it's going to be 4 o'clock the following day. If in the intervening time another snowstorm comes along, and then they get a further 24 hours, so in fact you could actually be waiting 48 hours before they have to clean the sidewalks. Something has to be done to correct this situation.
And Joan, while I don't want to think about winter, I agree with you. The past winter was a challenge for many people in our community. And if winters like that continue, we're going to have to make sure that we have plans in place to ensure that the conditions of our sidewalks and roads are cleared in an expedited way. I do know that in other communities, city staff does have routes and a cleaning schedule for sidewalks, and I know Welland and Grimsby does this. And when you look at a issue like this, Joan, an issue of cleaning roads and cleaning sidewalks, that's an important part of allowing people to move about in our community. And we got to make sure that that's part of the value for taxes. That's putting residents first. And it's not about cutting taxes. It's not about getting back to the basics. This is really about providing value back for the hard-earned taxes that you pay into the community. So, Joan, I want to make sure that when you look at the winter that just happened, we want to be able to have a city that we're able to move around in and make sure that people have access to and from their schools, to and from their corner stores, and make sure that we're, as well, looking after each other in our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Walter. Let's take another question. It's coming from Reed. And by the way, if you have a question, just like Reed did, press 0 on the keypad on your phone, 0 for questions, and 7 to provide us your email address so we can provide you with email updates between now and Election Day. 0 for questions, 7 for email updates. Reed, go ahead. Reed, welcome. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you doing, Reed?
My question is, there's a long wait time for seniors. What are you planning on doing for that? There's not enough seniors housing, and the wait times are only from 5 to 10 years, I've been told. I just moved down from Sudbury to St. Catharines. And I might add, too, the last question about the sidewalks and stuff. In Sudbury, they have an excellent clearing plan for the sidewalks done by the city continuously. It's something you want to look into. But my main concern is the seniors' wait time for affordable housing.
Thanks for that, Reed, and thank you for the information on Sudbury, because that's something that we can look into. When it comes to the affordable housing for seniors, I think there's an opportunity here, and I would say many people acknowledge that St. Catharines, Niagara has become a destination and is a destination for those who are looking to enjoy their retirement years. And we have to be prepared, and we've got to make sure that we have the housing that's available for those who want to enjoy our climate that we have down here. We need to work with regional housing and also the private sector to create the partnerships that increase the number of spaces available for seniors in affordable housing. And that's something that we can do in partnership. And one of the aspects of our community is finding the right partners on the private side of the equation and making sure that they're working with the regional government so that we can have the affordable housing in our community and find the funding or work with the province to ensure that we have the funding in place. Thanks, Reed.
Thank you, sir. Let's take Joyce if we can. Joyce, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Joyce, go ahead with your question if you would, please.
I just want to know, there was a lot of fundraising done for the cancer clinic here in St. Catharines. A lot of people donated from their salaries and so forth. And I just want to know is, why is it that a woman that has to have 2 breasts removed, they took her into the hospital, both breasts were removed, they did a reconstruction the same day. It's devastating to have that happen to them in the first place, and I do not understand how we allowed our health care to get this low, that we are at this level the Humane Society, my veterinarian, she kept my cat overnight to see there'd be no complication. The same courtesy is not given to women here in St. Catharines. What can we?
Your thoughts, Walter.
Joyce, and again, thank you for that. And I've heard that the experience that you've had, experiences like that far too often in our healthcare system. As mayor, and the dollars that we spent as a community on that new hospital in St. Catharines, we have to make sure that, Joyce, people like you and your family are provided with and given the treatment that we all expect. And I'm on the board of the Hotel du Shaver, and I know, as a board member of that organization, client experience and client experience and care is priority number one. And I want to work as mayor with our healthcare system here in St. Catharines and Niagara, and also work at Queen's Park at the province to ensure that anyone who's using our healthcare facility, anyone, no matter age, no matter ailment, is getting the kind of customer, getting kind of care, the patient care that they deserve. So what you experienced should not have taken place. And with my experience at the Shaver, I will bring that knowledge to the mayor's position and be your advocate at both Queen's Park and in the healthcare system.
We had a question come in earlier today, Walter, from Robert. The question goes like this. Families are leaving St. Catharines, Whitcomb City Hall to reverse this trend. I know you brought it up earlier in your comments, but some people weren't on the line just yet. Go ahead, please.
And again, that's a central component of my plan for St. Catharines, is how do we keep families here in the community? And it starts with jobs. It starts with people being able to have a career, to accelerate in their career, to advance in their career. And in order to do that, we need business. We've spent a lot of money over the past number of years on civic buildings, from a spectator sports facility to a performing arts center, parking garages and bridges. Those are all important infrastructure builds. But the next 10 years is going to be and has to be about attracting business back to the community. We have to get private sector jobs back to our community, good paying jobs back to our community. So how is this going to happen? We are going to put together a plan that targets businesses that should be and can be in our community. We're going to partner with communities close to us to develop attraction plans so that we're bringing in businesses from across North America to our community. We are perfectly situated. We have Toronto next door and the GTA and Buffalo on the other side of us. We are in the corridor of one of the largest economic corridors in all of North America. There's no reason why our community should be struggling. And it starts with bringing business back to this community, and that's what we're going to do. That's what council and myself will do, is put together that plan that helps our local businesses grow and be global leaders and attract the next generation of businesses to our community, that keeps people in our community, that keeps young people and young families in our community.
This next call comes from Kristen. You said City Hall needs to be open for business. What do you mean?
As CEO of the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, I've worked with a lot of businesses, Krista, and when you look at the challenges that they face, I'm routinely met with comments about and struggles and challenges that they face when they're looking to expand their business, when they're looking to add buildings onto their business. And we need to do a better job of removing the excessive barriers that keep businesses from expanding. If a business like CMI is going to expand by 25,000 square feet, what are we doing to facilitate that? If the permit time for that is 18 months, how can we get it down to 6 months? We're competing with other communities that have better permit times. We're competing with other communities that accelerate the development of a business expansion. We need to do the same thing, but we need to do it in a way that's better than those around us. So removing those barriers is about systematically removing the excessive regulation, systematically removing the impediments that slow business growth. It's something that we can't afford to do and something that we have to do immediately.
We had another question that came in earlier today, too, and the question goes like this. How will City Council enhance programs for families while keeping tax increases in check? And that one was from Ben. How will City Council enhance programs for families while keeping tax increases in check?
And Ben, that's a great question, and that's something that communities across Ontario struggle with. We need to keep taxes in check, and that's been made very clear as you go door to door. But how do we enhance the programs while doing that? We look for partnerships. We look to partner with organizations. We look to partner with neighboring municipalities. We have municipalities around us that are looking to replace their aging arenas. Can we develop a partnership with those municipalities to build community hubs that have arenas in there, that have community centers, senior centers? I think those in our community will realize that through partnerships, if we can save your hard-earned tax dollars and at the same time enhance the services in our community, that will be a goal, and that's a goal of ours.
Let's go to another question that came in earlier today from Ian. And the question goes like this. The development of Port Dalhousie has become a disappointment. What steps will you take to turn this situation around?
Ian, that's an excellent question. And Port has declined, and it's declined because the project hasn't taken place. It hasn't been built. We can no longer wait another 4 to 10 years. We need to immediately work with the current developer, seek ways and means in which a development can take place. And if that developer, if the current developer isn't willing to take those steps, the city has to explore all of its options. But I will say this as mayor, that Port will be revitalized in the next 4 years. We will work with council to ensure that Port will become that community on Lake Ontario of which those who are coming by boat and car will see as a destination again.
Thank you, sir. And for the final question, it comes from Diane. The discussion surrounding recreation facilities is centered around arenas, but about our parks and community centers. What do you think about that?
Diane, this is, again, being a central part of this campaign so far. We can't close arenas, and we can't be reckless in those decisions without a plan. Currently, we don't have a recreation master plan. We need a recreation master plan that guides the use of all of our facilities, including our soccer, baseball, lacrosse, our community centers, our senior centers. We don't have a long-term plan. And without a long-term plan, I've been taught in business, without a long-term plan, you're going to be making reckless mistakes. And by closing arenas prematurely, that is an example of making a decision without foundation. So my commitment is to ensure that council and staff have a recreation master plan that will guide the next 15 to 20 years of growth in this city. Because, Diane, our city is going to grow. Our city will grow again. We have a bright future in our community, a bright future that includes young people, young families, and seniors. And we need to make sure we have a recreation master plan that's a reflection of where we're going, not where we've come from.
Walter, thank you so much. We've come to the end of our call based on time. If we didn't get to your question, we tried to get to everyone we could. Please leave us a message with your question or comment at the end of this call. You can leave us a voicemail, but you have to stay on to the end of the call for that. Leave us your name, your phone number, and your email address if you want us to get back to you even quicker. We appreciate any comments left. Walter, bring us to the finish line if you would, please.
Kurt, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure answering the many questions that came in tonight over this town hall. St. Catharines has a wonderful opportunity ahead of it. We are a community that will grow, and under my leadership, we are going to be a community that becomes a leader in Ontario. It's going to start by putting residents first. It's also about establishing St. Catharines as a leader. It's about growing the local economy and enhancing our community life. We have an opportunity. We have a wonderful opportunity in front of us to be that community that keeps young people, young families in our community so that they can be the next generation of leaders, entrepreneurs, community leaders, and businesses. And that's my vision for the city, and that's why I want to be the mayor of St. Catharines. For more information, you can go to votesendzik.ca, and that's SENDZIK.ca. And I look forward to meeting many of you at the doors, and we'll be able to talk further about your vision for this community and my vision, because collectively we'll do this together. Have a great evening.